Okay, hello, and welcome to a tutorial on the speedrun of Slime Rancher's Any Glitchless category. This category just recently came about with the introduction of the full release of Slime Rancher version 1.0.0 and a whole credit sequence and an ending to the story overall. So the goal of this run is to get to that point of the game as quickly as possible. I've paused here temporarily to be able to discuss the beginning of the game, as there's multiple things you need to do in a short amount of time, and I think it's best to explain it beforehand instead of rushing through all the details. So the first and most important thing that you're going to want to do here is burst the pink Gordo, which is just outside the entrance of the dry reef. In order to do that, you'll need 3 carrots and or pogo fruit combined. We'll go around and get some from the starting area, and that should not be too much of a challenge. Along with that, by the time you've gotten back, you will want to have collected 350 new bucks to purchase the jetpack, which we'll use throughout the run. In order to get new bucks, you must either break crates along the way, which I highly encourage, or, upon bursting the pink Gordo, any additional resources you collected you can feed to the pink slimes to get pink plorts and sell at the plort market. And the last thing that you'll need to do at the start of the game is get a Q-berry. Q-berries can also spawn from crates, which you should be breaking anyway, or if you don't get any from crates along the way, there is a Q-berry tree bush sort of thing nearby the pink Gordo that you can use as a backup strat. So, I'm going to get started here. When you first go out here, you're going to want to make sure that you run towards whatever the pink slimes are going for, just to snatch the food before they get to it. So this time they're going for the pogo fruit and the carrots, so I'm going to go to the pogo fruit and try and grab a few before they can get to it. I encourage you, while grabbing things like this, to be wary of whether or not you have a full inventory, because you want to have at least one slot open to get a Q-berry under the event that you find one from a crate. It's RNG and is not super likely to happen, but if it does happen, it can be a significant time save, so you want to be on the lookout for that. Anyway, like I said, you're going to need 30 total combined, and if you don't get all 30 from this area, that is not a problem. As you can see, I'm one short. If you look over here, however, where the pink Gordo is located, there is actually a pogo fruit tree that spawns 4 to 6 pogo fruit, usually 5. Anyway, we're going to feed the pink Gordo all of these. The pink slimes will spawn, and we'll give them the extra 4 resources that we got along the way. So, as you can see, I didn't get a Q-berry. At least not yet. Maybe I'll get lucky and get one from a crate. Like I said, try and keep your inventory open for the sake of being able to get a Q-berry. In this case I did, but regardless, I think it's important to showcase backup strategies that are absolutely necessary to learn. So for this one, I'm going to be doing a trick known as the slime jump, where you will use the slime to gain elevation. In this case, because we don't have the jetpack, it makes it a lot easier to scale this cliffside. So in order to perform a slime jump, you're going to jump in the air, shoot a slime directly downward. Once you land on it, it will bounce back up in the air, then you can jump off of it, back it up a bit higher, and jump once more, which is a mouthful. And I'm going to just perform it instead, so that it's much easier to see and visualize for yourself. So that's it one time. I'll do it once more, just for the sake of clarity. Keep your area clear when doing it. Things can bump into it and ruin it. So that is the slime jump. As you can see, this time I didn't get any Q-berries. They don't always spawn here, but it's a backup strat, and I would go for it, especially if you're doing first runs. And since you're watching the tutorial, I imagine you are doing some of your first runs. So I got a lot of pink plorts this time because obviously I'm taking things slow, so I have the ability to explain things, and you know, it can be more of a digestible running experience. But anyway, we're going to do another slime jump here to scale this cliffside. A suggestion I have for slime jumping if you're struggling, one issue that I used to have a lot was that I didn't get enough height even though I seemed to have performed it correctly. If that's happening to you, you're likely shooting the slime too early. It's important to shoot it about as close to the ground as you can without just straight up landing on it and not bouncing at all. So we'll sell the pink plorts here. Now is a great opportunity for you to examine the price of the, or rather the selling amount for a rad plort and rock plort, because we will be selling those later to try and amass enough money for 2 other upgrades. While we're on the topic, it's at this point that we're going to go to the Indigo Quarry. Now we did get a slime key earlier, but we're not going to use that to enter the Indigo Quarry. We're going to instead use a fancy jump along a cliffside to just sort of inch our way into the Indigo Quarry with the newly acquired jetpack. This will save the slime key for later, as we need 2 of them. Well, we only need 1, but the other one is used to save a ton of time. You can technically skip a door that gets to the Ancient Ruins entrance, but that would spend so much time, far more than you would need to burst a Gordo. Anyway, so you're going to start the jump from here. Obviously, we won't have enough energy to just fly over there, so we'll be sliding along the cliff sides along the way to save us some of our energy, as we don't have very much at all. I recommend practicing this just like the slime jump a lot, just so that you never mess it up. It's a bit daunting at first, but once you get them down, it should be relatively easy to just do it over and over again. Alright, so if you want to grab some rock plorts here, just to be safe during a run. It's not fast, but it is not a bad idea. So you saw that I grabbed a pink slime there as well, and that was not a mistake. Also, just to clarify, you can do a slime jump with, I believe, every slime in the game. It's just that pink slimes are usually easy to get a hold of and don't do anything strange. And we'll be doing the slime jump here to... Alright, well, this game is well programmed. We're going to be doing this slime jump here to scale this cliffside, and hopefully my slime doesn't fall into the floor this time. Goody. Alright. So now we're going to come out here. You want to, if you want to be super optimized, you want to grab these guys and then jump down here and put them back down. Because we want to get rad plorts most of all, because this time they're worth 50, and that's usually right around how much they're worth, 50, 40-ish. They can drop pretty significantly low. I think one of the minimums is right around 20. If that ever happens to you, I highly recommend that you just reset, because that is horrible luck that is really hard to recover from. But anyway, it looks like I might have to employ a backup strategy. No? With these spawns, I think we'll be fine, but I will show off what I'm talking about anyway. I think that Oka fell into the floor again, so something's going on. Slime Rancher's not a perfect game. It's a stellar game. It's very fun, but it's far from perfect. In any case, like I said, for the sake of the tutorial, coming over in this direction, 2 rad slimes are guaranteed to spawn. They are rad pink ferals. At least 2. I guess in this case I got 3. And you can feed them any additional Okas you have. You, of course, want to be careful to not die. They can kill you. They are angry and such. But if you don't get enough rad slimes and you think you can get enough off of these guys, I think there's one left, yeah. You can go ahead and do that. And you'll also get some pink plorts as well. So, on certain runs, as long as you have checked your plort value, which on later runs you might want to just wing it to save some time, but usually you'll be able to check. I can guarantee that I have enough money. 12 rad plorts at a value of 50 is enough to get you to 600, just as a general benchmark, so kind of work around that, usually. Anyway. I can't stress enough that you should not be selling all of your plorts right now. You need to save one of each for the Ancient Ruins doorway later on. But at this point, I'll show off what we were saving up for. Firstly, the tank booster upgrade, and second, a garden. And the garden is important because we need Q-berries to burst the Phosphor Gordo. Now, I'm going to take an opportunity here again to give another backup strategy. While you are getting your plorts in the Indigo Quarry, it might wind up being that you are just barely short. You kind of want to do the math in your head if you're going to do something like this. If you're just barely short new bucks, right? You don't have to end your run over it. You can actually grow this Q-berry tree and use a pink slime, putting it next to it to have it eat some of the Q-berries while we sleep in a second here. The thing about this strategy is that you will lose Q-berries and you might not get as many as you need, but you will be able to continue the run if you decide to do so. But in my opinion, it's a kind of risky strategy, and for the sake of, you know, completing runs and figuring things out, I would just get as many rad and rock plorts as you can. Anyway, we are going to sleep twice. Be sure to read your star mail between sleeping, if it shows up. And once we leave the ranch, we should have a bunch of Q-berries on the ground. So we're going to vac these up. Got 27, that's pretty good. Then we're going to sleep once more, read our star mail, and then exit the ranch to go and feed the Phosphor Gordo. So there we go. So there are a couple reasons to feed the Phosphor Gordo. Firstly, we need to get a Phosphor plort, and throughout the run, waiting until nighttime would use up a lot of our extra time to, well, not extra time, rather. It would waste a lot of time for the speedrun, and you want to be able to be doing things as much as possible. So waiting until nighttime is an absolute drag. Additionally, we need a second slime key in order to complete this run as quickly as possible. And that means that the Phosphor Gordo is our greatest opportunity to cover both of those, like, check marks, basically. So we'll go down here and feed the Phosphor Gordo 25 of our Q-berries. It's at this point that I should mention, getting additional Phosphor Plorts from the Phosphor Slimes is not a bad idea. Having extra Phosphor Plorts can be actually a lifesaver later on in the run when we enter the Ancient Ruins. So when you burst the Phosphor Gordo, break the crates, don't feed your Q-berries to the guys. Hope for fruit from the crates, basically. And if they eat the fruit and you can get extra Phosphor Plorts from them, good. If none of the fruit drops, you'll have to give them one of your Q-berries. It's not the end of the world. I also got lucky and got an extra crate, which did have some fruit. So at this point, they should go and eat the fruit. It looks like I'm going to get extra lucky here and get a bunch of Phosphor Plorts. You shouldn't need more than 3, but it's never a bad idea to get additional. It's not like you'll get punished in the future for doing so, so I'll just grab all of them. At this point, we need to get back around and make our way to the Moss Blanket, where we will be getting the 4th of the plorts that we need, the Honey Plort. And then we will continue on from there. So, we do have 2 slime keys, and you might be curious whether or not we're using a slime key on the Moss Blanket. And I can tell you with certainty that we're not, because it's actually one of the surprisingly easiest skips in the game to get into the Moss Blanket. It's a little bit silly. I'll show it off to you in a second here. This one, you don't really need to practice, you just need to know where you need to jump. So, for this jump, I like to use the visual indicator of the halfway point between this section right here and this crack in the walkway. So halfway between there I like to jump and then just hold spacebar. And you will find yourself in the Moss Blanket. A little bit silly. It's existed for a while though, so I imagine they don't have any intention to fix it. At this point you're going to want to drop all but one of your Q-berries off in the corner. One of mine phased through the wall again. I'm really not lucky right now. I don't know what's going on. But regardless, it's fine. I don't need all of the Q-berries, I just would like to not lose my Q-berries to bad walls and bad floors, which I'm just being cursed by. Anyway, you just gotta wait for some honey slimes to spawn. Feed them your last Q-berry. Don't let a pink slime eat it, that would be a tragedy. It can be quite difficult to find an extra fruit around, so be very careful. I almost ruined my run there. So at this point, we're going to use our first slime key to enter the area with the Ancient Ruins doorway. As you can see, we've collected 4 of the necessary plorts: Honey, Rock, Phosphor, and Rad. The remaining 2 are Tabby and Boom, which happen to spawn in the Moss Blanket. Now there is a chance that your Q-berries could get eaten by some pink slimes or something while you're out here, and that is kind of a worst case scenario. If that does happen, I would recommend performing a reset because it's a little bit ridiculous to try and salvage that. If you lose like 1 like I just did, it's not a big deal, and even if you lose 2 you might be able to work it out because there are backup strategies. But if all your Q-berries are gone, it's a little bit of a death sentence. Anyway, try to remember... Sick shot. Try to remember the locations of these, and try to get your trick shots down. I'm going to do them slow here, just so you can get an idea of where you might want to shoot to pull off these things. Just as a side note, when shooting plorts, I would stand still, at least until you get a little bit more adept with the thing, because if you pay attention when you're shooting stuff in the game, your movement impacts how the things will move in the air. So if I'm moving to the left here, the honey plort will also move to the left. So you want to... even if I'm moving straight forward, the honey plort will move forward faster. So you want to be standing still, or in that case, sprint forward, because it won't, modify how it moves very much. So you're going to want to get 2 briar hens. I didn't this time, but that's not that big of a deal. If you can feed a boom slime, I would recommend that first, because boom slimes are the rarest of the slimes in this area. There's plenty of tabbies and pinks to go around, and sometimes you can just find a stray tabby plort sitting around anyway. Like in this case, I did. There's a tabby plort bunch over here. So it is at this point that we are going to enter the Ancient Ruins. Once we do enter the Ancient Ruins, we're going to want to get 5 quantum plorts along the way, and that's where the phosphor plorts come in handy. Q-berries are the favorite food of phosphor slimes, and if you feed a phosphor plort to a quantum slime, it turns it into a quantum phosphor largo. That means that that slime also has the favorite food of Q-berries, and will give you 2 quantum plorts per Q-berry. So if you don't get a phosphor plort, it's not the end of the world, but if you do, you can count yourself lucky because it'll save you a bit of time. Don't be me, don't miss this shot. Aim a bit more to the right. Alright. Just making sure I'm not forgetting anything here. I don't wanna be giving out a bad tutorial. I think everything that's been covered so far is fine though. And you know, as a side note, don't just use this tutorial. I would recommend watching some streams of the runs as well, so that you can see it not only in this form where it's kind of managed and slow and easy to watch, but also in a more live and interesting form where you'll see backup strategies be performed, and you'll see what happens when things go wrong and how you can handle that. So I'll include links at least... Ooh, that's not very good. I'll include links at least to my stream and to Lynx's stream, and as other runners crop up, I will probably include links to theirs as well. So that might have seemed like a run ender right there, because now I'll only be able to get 4 quantum plorts from quantum slimes, and that's a lesson in fake eating. Slimes can sometimes appear to be eating what you have given them, but they won't actually be. But the run is not actually over, and this is a good opportunity for me to showcase another backup strategy. And this one's a little bit of an education on how the game works as well. Because I'm going slow, these phase limits have grown, and you know, you could probably get something to toss into there, but most of the time when you're doing runs, there won't be any fruit around. And that can become a very large issue. I'm actually going to perform a jump here after I finish my explanation. So fruit is based upon a timer, but usually the chicken spawners in the game are based upon proximity. So chickens are going to spawn in the ancient ruins, but most of the time fruit is not going to. So as a backup strategy, if you have happened to you what just happened to me, where I didn't have enough Q-berries, you can get a pink plort, feed it to a quantum slime, so it can eat anything, and then feed it a chicken, and that'll get you 1 additional quantum plort. So that is a backup strategy that you're going to want to remember, because I think it's going to apply itself to more runs than you might think. Anyway, we're going to perform another slime jump here. This one is to get onto this little structure here so we can get past the door, because we don't have enough energy to fly over there. You're going to want to be careful, because that surface, unlike other ones that we've performed on so far, is slightly slanted, so your slime is going to bounce a little bit to the left. And that is fine. Anyway, now is a good opportunity to show you what I'm talking about. As you can see, there is a chicken over there, because chickens spawn based upon proximity, like I mentioned, and we don't have to wait for a timer for the chicken to appear. I mean, there is a timer, but it's not what initially spawns the chicken. So now we have ourselves a quantum pink largo, feed it the chicken, and we'll get ourselves our 5th and final quantum plort. And at this point, you can just ditch your phosphor plorts. They are completely unnecessary. They're just used to make quantum largos. So now you're going to want to jump down here, do a fancy action movie, jump, and use your 2nd slime key to get to the glass desert teleporter, which requires 5 quantum plorts. Okay. So put them in all the little things, and then a little animation will play, and then we can enter the glass desert. Just sort of go back and forth here until the teleporter works, and then make your way into the glass desert. So you're going to want to collect 3 slimes while you're making your way to an area, because we need to jump over some slime doors here as well, and we're going to be doing a bunch of slime jumping to make that happen. You can either run that way to skip a slime spawn, or run this way to get what usually is a dervish slime to spawn. I can't guarantee spawns because sometimes it seems like they're inconsistent, but for the most part you'll get that spawn if you walk over there. It's up to you, and I've gotten my 3 slimes already, so that's good. Don't be afraid to use rock slimes, although it might be jarring to do a slime jump on a rock slime because of the damage and the animation, it will still work. Though I highly recommend getting dervish slimes instead. Alright, so we'll be performing the slime jump starting from here. So you're going to want to get over here. Once again, slanted surfaces, you're going to want to move with the slimes. Once you've done that one, we're then going to go up there. So it's a little bit hard, so I'm going to do my darndest to not screw it up too bad. And you don't need to pick up that slime anymore. Once you've gotten to that point, just use the slimes and go. Nope. I don't want to redo that one just to make sure I get it right. So yeah, definitely practice this. This is a little bit of a pesky thing to deal with. This last one's especially easy though. And it's not horribly precise. It's a little bit lenient, but you do need to get the kind of muscle memory of doing angled slime jumps down before you can do that with any consistency. Even I had a bit of a struggle there. And that is absolutely fine. So at this point, we're basically just going to be running to the end of the glass desert. That's all that's really left. Once that's done, we're pretty much done with the run. Just follow this route to get to the end. And things should go nice and smoothly. So now we're going to come around here, we're going to drop into this area, walk around, and get to the end of the glass desert. Once you've gotten to this point, there's pretty much no risks or real, like, skill plays left in the run. It's a nice take-it-easy sort of breather thing. Don't worry about the doors, it was just a storytelling element. Doesn't actually impact where you wind up here. Alright, and here is the end of the glass desert. To complete the game, it is required that you get to this point and read this message from Hobbs. Good old H, and at this point you're going to want to emergency return. This will respawn you back at the door of your house. Just turn around and go to sleep for weeks on end, really, and keep reading your star mail. So at this point, the rest of the run is just sleeping and reading. It's very exciting, very engaging. And it is the end of your Slime Rancher speedrunning experience, at least on a per-run basis. And I would not do what I did there, where you read star mail for no reason. I would keep track of the days to gauge when you're going to be finishing the run. But I'll show off the email just so that you can also have a visual cue if you find that more appealing. The end of the run is triggered by a message from Hobbs himself. And once you receive that email, exiting the ranch will be enough to complete the game and end your Slime Rancher speedrun. I would also recommend checking out the speedrun.com page, which I'll also include in the description of the video, where you can see a description of the rules of the run. Like, you can't perform the run on a 5-day rush. You must do it on adventure mode. So, and you can also use that to sort of view other runs that people have done, view some of the best runs, and you know, just get an idea of what your goals might be to get to with this run. So far, I believe the best run is a mid 15-minute run. A good starting point is to go for a sub 20 run. And sometimes it can be hard because there is RNG throughout the run, but I'm sure you can do it with enough tries. And with that, that's the end of the Slime Rancher 80% Glitchless run. That's all there is to it. You can enjoy the rest of the credits and then your run is over with. So thanks for watching the video. Once again, a bunch of links in the description if you're interested in the run. There's also a Discord specifically for Slime Rancher speedrun that you can join. It should be fun times.
I should have said it before you were gone, 'cause I'm kicking myself for waiting oh so long. And I should have held you near every time I feared somehow you just wouldn't feel the same. So please don't say that you'll go. My heart can't bear the news, just knowing that you'll be 1,000 light years away. If you do, oh if you do. Well, I'm just sitting here gazing up at the stars. Let's say we pick one out and call the whole thing ours. And even though that light we see ain't the same from